thousands of zombies surged in, completely surrounding the Savior's compound. There's another figure running through the zombie horde, Gabriel, who's been left behind. Gabriel dashed into a motorhome in the backyard, only to find Negan inside. Suddenly, Negan accelerated and tackled Gabriel to the ground, seizing his weapons. First the rifle, then the knife. Gabriel didn't resist. In the current situation, death was inevitable sooner or later. Negan didn't kill Gabriel. He extended a hand and helped him up. After everything was done, Negan sits down on the wall with a cozy look on his face and tells Gabriel not to make any noise or the zombies will stay active. Negan was known for his brutality and senseless killing, but he had his own beliefs. He named his group the Saviors because he believed his methods were saving people, though Negan's words seemed reasonable. Upon closer examination, they appeared contradictory. They're all trapped here, and they can only hope that Negan's men can figure out a way to get rid of the zombies, or else they're just waiting to die here. Inside the building, Negan's 5 deputies are in a meeting, and they're not sure if Negan is alive or dead. Regina believes that they should send 40 workers to clear the zombies, having them stand back to back, and create a pathway. Eugene promptly disagreed with the idea. The others looked at the genius with curiosity to see his expert analysis. Eugene explained that given the density of the zombie horde outside, even with 40 workers forming a formation and armed with close combat weapons, they'd be surrounded and wiped out within minutes. Regina explained that was the intention. The workers were meant to draw the zombies' attention. They only need to send out a small team to break out. Once successful, they can contact the strongholds outside, and this crisis can be easily solved. Unbeknownst to them, the 3 major strongholds had already been taken out. Eugene opposed again, highlighting that resources were dwindling, and provoking a conflict between the workers and the Saviors could end disastrously. Dwight agreed and added his support to Eugene's viewpoint. There are so many workers, they should be brought together instead of being sent to their deaths. Gavin chimed in, suggesting they shouldn't focus on this issue for now. Even if they managed to break out, there were Rick's snipers waiting outside. The priority was to quickly identify the traitor within. The fact that the leaders of the 3 major strongholds were attacked right after arriving indicated that someone in their midst was leaking information. After saying this, the other deputies also thought deeply. It's true that there are too many doubts in this case, as if Rick knows everything about them. The traitor is naturally Dwight, who is a bit panicked at the moment, and can only try to turn his attention back to the workers again. Simon spoke, never taking his eyes off Eugene. Within the Saviors, suspicion of a traitor would naturally fall on Eugene due to his previous affiliation with Rick's group. However, lacking evidence, they couldn't do much. The meeting concluded. Sometime later, Dwight pondered their next moves in the room. Suddenly, a knock sounded at the door. He opened it. Finding Eugene standing there, Eugene approached, holding a can of pickles from his collection, expressing gratitude for Dwight's support during the meeting. After a few pleasantries, Eugene was drawn to the handmade figurines inside Dwight's house, which Dwight had made by hand. Dwight pointed out that the paint on top wasn't dry yet. However, it was too late. Eugene's hands were already stained with paint. It was a minor incident, and after a brief conversation, Eugene left the room. Meanwhile, Negan realized his men wouldn't come looking for him, so he prepared to save himself. He smeared zombie guts all over his body. With everything in place, they created noise to attract the zombies, then opened the car door, luring the surrounding zombies inside. So they went outside and carefully walked through the zombie horde. As Gabriel was walking, he tripped over a corpse and fell to the ground. Although Gabriel stood up in time, he was still spotted by a zombie, but Negan stepped in to save him in time. The 5 deputies reconvened in the conference room for another meeting. Usually, Gavin's outpost would have sent supplies today, but there had been no news. Gavin speculated that they had likely been attacked by Rick's group. A well-calculated move. While they're discussing what to do, this woman walks in because something big is happening outside. The workers on the first floor had revolted. When they come out, the corridors are filled with workers. The building was sealed off. Facilities were damaged, and the temperature on the first floor had become unbearable. The workers had also heard rumors of a plan to use them as bait for the zombies, which further fueled their anger. Negan seems to be dead or alive, so the workers have come to the first floor to demand an explanation. Simon tells them to go back to the ground floor. This is no place for workers, but this time the workers are a little more forceful and they all come out to complain about the terrible conditions. Some even take out their weapons. Just then, a familiar whistle sounded and everyone knelt down consciously, because they all knew the man was back. Negan said something to stabilize the troops in front of the group and then left. All he wanted to do now was to go and have a shower and something to eat. As for Gabriel, Negan just told his men to lock him up. An hour later, Negan called for a meeting. The workers were rioting badly and a lot of guns had been recovered from their hands. What's more, these guns were from their own warehouse, implying insider involvement. Otherwise, the guns wouldn't have been stolen right under their noses. Eugene seemed to notice something. There was a bit of brown paint on the backpack. Then Eugene carefully rubbed his thumb open and it was the same color on it. Suddenly, it clicked in his mind. The traitor was none other than Dwight. But Eugene doesn't say anything but slowly turns his attention to Dwight. Dwight appeared to sense something, as if this guy had discovered his secret. After the meeting concluded, Eugene left the room burdened with thoughts, but Negan stopped him in his tracks. Negan came up to him with a smile on his face and said that he had a great opportunity here. If Eugene can use his ingenuity to take care of the zombies outside, Negan will make Eugene happier than he's ever been before. But if Eugene gave it his all and still failed, Negan would ensure Eugene met a swift end before food and water ran out, sparing him a slow, agonizing death. Negan asked Eugene if he would be able to resolve this matter. Eugene nodded. It wasn't even a choice. A while later, Eugene stood at the entrance of the prison cell. Knowing that Gabriel was confined within, Eugene brought some supplies to make Gabriel's life a little easier. Eugene hadn't turned evil. Circumstances had forced him into siding with the saviors for survival. Eugene opened the door and saw that Gabriel was in bad shape and looked like he had contracted some kind of disease. Concerned, Eugene decided to take Gabriel to Dr. Harlan for medical help. On the other side, Rick opened a discarded microwave and retrieved 2 letters from inside. They were from the Kingdom and the Hilltop. As Rick read the letters, he walked towards the distance. They had agreed beforehand that, regardless of the outcome of their assaults on the strongholds, they would keep each other informed through letters. The Kingdom suffered the heaviest losses. Almost all those who were able to fight died. The survivors could only find solace in mourning and greeting for those they had lost. Ezekiel is devastated, leaving Carol alone to run the show. Aaron arrived at the Hilltop with the child and delivered the letters to Maggie. In the letters, Rick informed them that the situation was even tougher than they had imagined, but they couldn't back down. They had to press forward. Sasha had provided an opportunity for counterattack, and more sacrifices would follow. They need to fight for them. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Currently, the saviors were surrounded by zombies, trapped without supplies or reinforcements. As time passed, their strength waned, with snipers stationed outside their doors. Anyone from the saviors who ventured out met certain death. Rick had a task to complete now. He's going to run an errand now, and meet at the Salvation Hall in 2 days' time to bring a final end to all of this. We've fought our way up to this point. We've been through a lot. Victory will be ours. The destination Rick was headed to was the junkyard. With the Kingdom's forces unavailable, Rick is planning to persuade the scavengers to join him in taking action to eliminate the saviors in 2 days' time. Despite their previous treachery, they are a powerful force. Jadis is confused when she sees Rick coming alone. What is Rick doing here after what she did to him before? Rick explained his purpose. Rick is so confident that the demise of the saviors is only 1 step away that he believes the scavengers will not refuse to join him. Unexpectedly, the scavengers declined, which took Rick by surprise. Jadis seemed unaware of the harsh reality of the world. Rick was also taken down and locked up. At the Hilltop, the captives brought back by Jesus waited outside the walls, awaiting Maggie's final decision. Jesus is very nervous. Yesterday there was news that a gallows was being built inside, but Jesus realized that they had actually built a prison instead. After a night of contemplation, Maggie decided to lock up the captives. If anything went awry in the battle against the saviors, these people could be used as bargaining chips. Of course, letting these people live is also taking into account Jesus' idea. Maggie made another decision, to imprison Gregory as well. The people of the Hilltop were visibly relieved. They hadn't forgotten how Gregory had betrayed them. Things are over here at the Hilltop for now. As Aaron prepared to leave the Hilltop, Enid followed him, inquiring about his destination. Aaron thought about it and didn't say no to Enid. This war affects everyone, so he told Enid to hurry up and pack his things. With 2 days to go before the war started, Aaron had to do something to make sure the war was won. At the Alexandria safe zone, Michonne wanted to drive out alone, claiming she just wanted to hang out. But Rosita knew exactly what Michonne was thinking, so she got in the passenger seat and went along. Michonne didn't say much and simply drove away. They hadn't been gone long when Daryl arrived at the infirmary door. He was here to see Tara. Rick decided to attack the saviors in 2 days, but Rick didn't want to hurt the innocent workers. However, Daryl was less concerned about that and wanted to swiftly resolve the situation. He came to find Tara to team up. Their plan was simple: breach the Savior's building, let the zombies flood in, and end it all. On the highway, Rosita and Michonne engaged in a conversation. During the previous attack on the Savior's outpost, they hadn't been able to participate in the battle due to their injuries, and it left them feeling quite uneasy. Rick's plan is still 2 days away and Michonne doesn't want to wait at home, so she's ready to head to the Saviors to keep an eye on them. They chatted as they drove along, but soon stopped because of the loud music coming from the woods. It was so loud that it could be heard all over the place. They took out their weapons and followed the direction of the sound. Although it was still some distance away from the Salvation Hall and the zombies there shouldn't be able to hear it, they still wanted to find out as much as they could. Through the forests, they reached a small town, and the music was coming from a house. They quietly felt their way in. There are many tools and weapons here. It should be a weapons warehouse, and there's a man and a woman's voice coming from inside, just discussing Rick being an arsehole or something like that. From their conversation, Michonne and Rosita guessed that they should be the Saviors, who went out to look for supplies and just came back, and also saw the zombies outside the Salvation Hall, and the traces of the explosion. Now, they were planning to use the music to divert the zombies away and expecting a reward from Negan. Rosita looks inside and sees that they've already loaded up a truck with speakers. They can't let them take the truck away. Michonne approached quietly, intending to launch a surprise attack. However, her previous injuries hindered her from being at her best, and she didn't notice the small ball on the ground. The two Saviors outside immediately went on high alert upon noticing their presence. Rosita also took out her pistol and prepared to attack from behind the shelves, but they spotted her first. The Saviors didn't expect someone to sneak in, so they split up and searched for them. As Michonne carefully advanced with her handgun, the woman knocked the gun out of Michonne's hand. Michonne retaliated, causing the woman to drop her rifle as well. Michonne's first counterattack also knocked the woman's rifle to the ground, but her own injuries made Michonne uncomfortable as well. The woman pulls off a steel pipe. She can see that Michonne is injured. The man hears this and prepares to drive off in his car. Rosita was in a hurry, but she didn't have a weapon on her. But the next thing she saw was something familiar. The man was hurrying towards the car, and when he reached the corner,
"Baby girl."
Drop it.
Michonne hears an explosion. The woman took the opportunity to escape and quickly got into the car. Michonne, concerned about Rosita, didn't pursue. By the time they got out, the car was gone. This is bad. They didn't know what to do for a while. This thing will definitely draw all the zombies away when it gets to the Salvation Hall. The world is really amazing. This is the only thought in their mind. The driver of the car turned out to be Daryl. He and Tara had also been heading to the Salvation and came over when they heard the music, unwittingly resolving a threat. Michonne briefed them on the situation. Looks like the Saviors are doomed. With everyone aligned in their purpose, they set off together. By evening, they finally arrived near the outskirts of the Salvation. Michonne took the binoculars and saw the current situation of the Saviors and let out a breath of relief in her heart. The snipers were the first to notice their arrival. Morgan sees that it's Daryl and the others, so he tells the other snipers not to be nervous. It's their own people. Daryl and Tara's plan was straightforward: crash a vehicle into the building, allowing the zombies to flood in and end it all. Rosita and Michonne chose not to participate. On one hand, they were concerned about the innocent workers inside. On the other, they were intent on following Rick's plan. Tara is also trying to persuade them, cautioning that if they wait for 2 more days, there might be unforeseen variables. The incident with the speakers just now is an example of such a variable. That's when Morgan walks out. He supports Daryl too, and he wants to end this sooner than later the Saviors. Morgan says that when Daryl makes his move, the snipers will cover the car. It's not that Daryl doesn't trust Rick, it's that all of the kingdom's brothers have died. There won't be enough men to force the Saviors to surrender. Although Rick went to the scavengers to talk about cooperation, those people have betrayed their trust before and cannot be trusted. In the end, Rosita made it clear that she wouldn't participate because she believed Rick would take care of it, and it was because of her recklessness that Sasha died. Rosita is gone, but Daryl won't give up. It's not just his obsession to destroy the Saviors, it's Tara's and Morgan's too. They have all suffered the consequences of their indecision in the past, resulting in the deaths of loved ones. They don't want to let tragedy repeat itself.